So this is boundlessness. This is everything. And this meeting, you could say, is about everything and nothing. There is a suggestion being made these meetings, which is an odd suggestion to make, because normally when suggestions or ideas or sentences are proposed, normally they should be knowable and they should be understandable and gettable. But the suggestion being made here is that there isn't you and life, or there isn't you and what is, or there isn't you and what's appearing to happen. There's just wholly and completely what is or what's appearing. There isn't two. And then there isn't a self that can fall away, or a self that can get liberated, or a self that can have or understand or have this communication or own it as if it's his or hers or whatever. So the sorry, I got a message coming in from somewhere else there. The essence of the communication is that there isn't anyone. So there's no one in the trees growing the leaves. There's no one in the soil growing the grass. There's no one blowing the wind, and there's no one in there thinking those thoughts, feeling those feelings, and apparently making choices. And there is no one seeking. And so then no one will find a thing called enlightenment or get to a place of liberation. So that's the first sort of thing that's being suggested here. And another thing that can happen is that there can be lots of held beliefs and ideas and beliefs and ideas held about what this is and what it could be and where it can go and what it might be like when things happen. And it seems like if you were to kind of describe the average life, you could say that a lot of the time it seems that we're kind of on a path to somewhere, a linear path through time that arrives at a good spot. And so even something like this meeting, when this bespeckled human being is talking, he should be making a point or conveying something, and he should get to a point. But in a sense, really, it's as what is being said, or as this meeting, there's nothing in it to understand or guess or have. But I was describing that it can happen that there's held beliefs and images sought, really. It's like we're almost, the human being in this kind of normal life seeks images, and whether images of something better and held images of something better, and whether that is, pick your curse, but it could be cars, lovers, drugs, booze, food, peace, I don't know. And that's a long list. But we'd also seen that in this kind of movement of life, that there is a stumbling upon or there can be a stumbling upon, let's say, things like enlightenment or wisdom, or or another possibility maybe, or that somebody has the answer, because everything that has been done up until this point really has not brought about satisfaction, or has not stopped this sort of seeking. And there can be stumbling upon various communications out there that appear like they're potentially an answer. And again, they're in a sense really another image sought. So instead of lovers and whatever, the perfect life, the peace that passeth all understanding is the one for me. That one is going to solve it all. And depending on the individual and the rigor, it can be a ferocious sort of seeking for answers. And to make a long story short, let's just say there's a stumbling upon a communication called non-duality. And in essence, like I said at the start, the communication says something like there is no self. And for whatever reason within this communication, there can be a sudden grappling with that. Because all other things normally we'll give them a good go and we'll move on from them, whether it's hot yoga or whatever. I was going to say something dirty there. And but this communication stumbles, and it sort of can, I seem to say that it grabs hold, because really for that which seeks, there's nothing in it at all for that which seeks. It's total, and it can become sort of a push and pull, really. And it can be a horrible push and pull. And in a sense, if it could be let go of, it would be let go of, because it's a few sentences, really. But it seems like energetic, but it almost exposes, well, in actual fact, it exposes how everything is just energetic. And without all the story and all the blah, blah, blah that just came out of my mouth, there's the suddenness of just immediately sitting here. And it's inexplicable, unknowable, unfathomable, and just ordinary, the sound of a voice. And but it's also wild and free. It can be also like paint drying for some. But with all that said, it's a sort of a forum, it would seem, for questions and responses. And if there's anything that's there to be said, then it's there to be said. If there's a question that's there to be asked, then it's there to be asked. You can just put a comment in that little box there, or preferably just unmute and jump on in and ask whatever is there to be asked. And let's see what happens.
Hi, Frank.
Hiya.
Hi. I was just talking to a friend, and as life goes, this individual, I don't know how to describe it, but the appearance is kind of powerful in a way, like superpowers and different things like that. And right at the moment, I don't appear to have much money. and, and it's funny, somehow that came out in the interaction. He asked me something about that situation, and I said, oh, I just don't have much. And he asked me like 10 different questions, just like bam, bam, bam. Do you meditate? Do you do breath work? Do you exercise? Do you do cold therapy? Do you? And like all of a sudden, like the me was just like, yes, no, yes, no. And I know this is just a fucking story, but like it also just felt so dense, like that litany of all those practices and ideas and things to do to get somewhere. It just felt heavy.
Mm.
And I mean, and kind of funny. Like, I have no idea right now why it's like that. Um, and the meals start to generate excuses, but all the ways that I thought things worked, they're not appearing like I have any idea of how they work. Like, I don't know. And I'm not talking about passivity. I'm talking about I literally don't know how things work.
Mm.
And stuff like law of attraction and stuff like that. I mean, that used to just be a fantastic thing to hang on to, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do it right, or you could do
Yeah.
it wrong. But anyway, it's just trippy. It sort of stumped the panel. Yeah.
Yeah. Boundless stories. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
Meet you.
Oh, yeah.
Um, it's more a question. Can full-on regret happen there? What's kind of apparent here is the full-onness of my responses to situations can be pretty full-on these days, shall we say?
Mm.
And that can lead to, has led to, shall we say, consequences, and then maybe after the fact regret. But I mean, regret's regret, right? I'm just curious as to how all that works within the current world of Frank.
Well, there's just what is and what's appearing to happen. So there isn't a Frank being able to decide, well, I'm going to start regretting this, and then I am not going to, I'm going to stop regretting, I'm going to start regretting. But say to that question specifically, say there's a overreaction. There might be immediately going, so there was an overreaction there. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
And but sort of this regret might be thoughts, whatever, about stuff, but again, it's just what's appearing to happen. So yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily that regret really has ever been there in a sense, but yeah, it seems sort of pointless in a way. But I mean, who knows? It could be the case. It's like anything,
No. Well, regret, I guess what is regret? It's really just another thought, isn't it? You know,
Yeah, it's sort of comical, yeah.
yeah.
Like if it could be any other way and all that sort of thing, it's it's sort of imaginations. Everything is just continuous imaginations about things, really. It's like every inch is sort of like a rabbit hole, really. And who knows? It's free fall, so it's just there's no one doing anything, But that doesn't make it. There never was, so it's just regret or it's whatever. There's nothing denied. So then, if it's sort of regret about a thing, then it's regret about a thing that's appeared to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's what is then. Till suddenly, whatever. You see, it's like so ordinary. It's just as it always was, really.
Yeah, true. Totally true. In your I guess in your time and is it difficult for a couple where one is, and nothing has changed, let's be fair, right? But is it difficult in a relationship where, one could have fallen or God knows what, and the other is obviously still a me, for them to coexist?
It depends. You can hear different yeah, I mean it's like in a sense you could say, let's just say this communication is totally wild and free and full on, and so it's hard it depends, it's impossible to say. For could be different for some it could be just suddenly, but that's nothing to do with anything, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, there's someone who's a no one and it's frustrating. It's just there is no one, so there is, I don't know is the answer to that. I kind of don't know. It's different for different couples and different scenarios, different apparent relationships. And see, I wouldn't go along looking at, say, I don't see anyone else. It's not like I go, right, well, she's a me and I'm a no me, and all that blah 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 blah. There's just this full on life, however it is. So it could be arguments, could be not arguments, could be getting on, it could be suddenly, right, well, that's it then, it's no more, break up. I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe I kind of would have always said, well, maybe before I would have said, well, this is definitely the way it's going to be and everything will live happily ever after. But it's more, who the fuck knows,
Yeah.
about anything,
Yeah. No, well, that's fair reflection. Thank you.
Thank you. There isn't relating to someone, nor, would be seen as my wife or my kids or my friend or my anything, it would be just, and there wouldn't be sort of ownership. It's just, there's just what is fully appearing to happen,
How is that different from acceptance, Frank?
Well, there'd be somebody in there who could accept then. So I don't know how to grow a fingernail, so I absolutely don't know how to accept. And calling, if there's one thing for sure, saying the sentence, Frank is a very accepting, it's just not said really at all. But it's like that. So like with everything, it's such a, how do you breathe or think or feel or pump the heart or whatever? So then accepting is just another story. Like, oh, you can go ahead and do acceptance, even though you might be fucking furious. Just accept your fury. Oh. And it's always somebody who can do something about it, Well, good luck with then acceptance then. See how that works out. There is such safety and comfort in being told what to do and guided by someone who knows. It makes the unknowable comfortable and something that you can do to get stuck into. And guidance and paths and steps, and they're all so exciting to get your teeth into and give a good go. Till suddenly they're not, for whatever reason. It seems like they can appear, it can appear nauseating to be spoken to, as if you're someone.
But everything playing out as it plays out, seeing everything playing out as it plays out, except is a type of acceptance with no undoing it.
But it's not like, so a car pulls out of you and you hammer on the horn and you F and blind for 60 seconds. That is acceptance. But it's better way of saying it, it's just fully what it appears to be. So there just isn't anyone that can accept. So then trying to accept, though, would also be fully what it is. I'm going to accept that they pulled out in front of me and I'm going to now be really calm and patient and blah, 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 blah. So you can say it's acceptance, but it's not. It's just, it's just a word. It's just what is. And that's not a way to live, though. It's not like saying there's just what is sort of a useful mantra to repeat. Seems to come out of this gob, but it's absolutely useless. So full on blowing the horn and screaming at whoever's at front of you is what it is. But it's as that then. It's not that there's that and accepting. There's not two. So there's just hearing. It's just this hearing of a voice and then thinking and feelings and whatever is appearing to happen. Centerless.
But if acceptance happens, that's also just what's happening.
Well, if that is what's being described and felt, then that's what's being described and felt.
Mm.
And so it's not like there's anything wrong or right about that. That would be this as that. It's just whatever you want to call it, acceptance or whatever is being described and felt, then that's what it is. Just the only sort of nuance is that there isn't anyone in there doing that.
That's what I'm trying to say, is that acceptance can happen with no undoing it.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah. So I suppose maybe it's just different words, whatever, but sometimes, things can play out and then suddenly it can be, right, okay, well, that's that then, or okay then, or and a sort of moving on can appear to happen, or whatever you want to call it then. It's just that there isn't, it's authorless then. I just think there's so much, maybe it's just the word acceptance is so much kind of laden down, that's so prescriptive about it that, it's just too many stories about it maybe, and that's why we're talking slightly differently about it.
I just can't think of a different word to use.
Okay. Whatever, it doesn't matter anyway.
Mm.
I suppose not accepting would also be this, and the same as accepting. just what's appearing to happen.
Frank, will you talk a little bit more about no relationship?
Well, relationships just as a story in a sense, but so there is just what is appearing. So it's so there's apparently talking and hearing a voice and this immediacy, and then perhaps there's going downstairs and having a bite to eat and talking with the other half, and that would be what's happening then. That would be what is. And I suppose just this idea of relating and stories and the mine and all that, maybe it's just a story. It's just all, you know, how to be, how not to be, relate. We don't relate, sure, okay. You know, it just seems like there's a heaviness with all that relationships, and so then there isn't the same pressure you could with friends and having to meet up and all that. But then it might be, God, I haven't rang such and such in a while. Maybe an effort. I'll make an effort. You know, it's just the idea. Relationships. There's there's apparently two people, and apparently relating to each other, and that's a sort of a whole complex story when there's just fully what's happening. So then you could say the idea of my friend or someone on the street and the back and knowing someone and all that, maybe all that just is, there isn't a knowing someone, you know. I know you and all of that.
Would you say that relationships, for the most part, are just kind of like a sticky bargain?
A sticky bargain.
Yeah.
That's a good expression. I think it would seem like in a lot of scenarios there is a kind of an underlying what's in it for me. You could say that, but you know, whatever. It's not necessarily true either. And it depends on the whatever, whoever they are, and the stories being told and all that. It's impossible to say, really. But sticky bargain can be like that for some, yeah.
Hey, Frank again.
Hi.
But you could, whether it's coming out of the body or where it's coming from, you know, when a relationship ends, you know, there could be the missing of the other person, shall we say, whatever you want to call them, right?
Yeah.
Body, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, this isn't a state of once removedness. So if there's anything and everything appears to happen, there's just no one in there doing anything. You can't do grief or loss or missing someone or wishing you could get back together or whatever the fuck. It would be just what's appearing to happen. That longing or that missing or whatever. it just seems like that the ordinariness that's being described, you know, that ordinariness seems like it's knowable. I know that. I know how it is. Whereas it's also, from another perspective, totally unknowable and just fully then what it appears to be. And there are no rules. There's no. It's all imaginations, you know. Anything and everything happens. It's a boundless, unfathomable mystery. So then whatever is being described and felt, we're so used to, oh, I'm doing it right and I'm doing it wrong. I shouldn't. What if I'm not accepting? Or what if I am accepting? Okay, well, that's what's happening then. What if I'm missing someone? Does that mean anything? No, that's what's appearing to happen.
Yeah, it's felt. It's just felt.
It's just what's appearing, yeah.
Too with the communication can be difficult sometimes, I find. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, there isn't even a communication. That's the, you know, really what's been said here, let's just say, is that this is totally and utterly unknowable. This is the boundless. Or call it, or this is nothing, this is everything, or not a silence. There's just what's appearing to happen, or whatever. And so when something is being tried to be extracted from, you know, these words, it can become incredibly frustrating because, well, it's imagined that then something, even if it's nothing, that can be a thing that I can get from this. But nothing then is denied. So everything and anything is possible. It's just that it seems like, let's just say, we're used to an authority who knows and can guide or answer. Whereas here, actually, there are not even any answers. There's just a response. And really, at the heart of it all is just a total unknowability, innocence about what innocence is, you know. So actually, all the knowings are elsewhere. All the images held about what this is, could be, should be, or what it can be like, or whatever, they're sort of they're the knowings. And that's the sort of, you know, there's the like the rich man or whatever, knowledge is like that in a sense. And this really is poverty. But you can't, it's not then a thing to have. Poverty can't be had either. And then so what can be said? Well, whatever appears to be being said. And it's the same there. So it is actually totally useless, this. And that's not sort of an endeavor to make it useless, or, you know, it just seems like there's certain ways of talking. It just seems like that's how this comes out of the gob, and it's kind of a total mystery, you know. It's a mystery that this sort of meeting happens, and yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Mm.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
I guess everything can happen
Yeah.
Oh,
Appear to happen, yeah.
yeah. Without a reason.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how nothing can be other than what's happening? I mean, nothing can be any other way.
Then it would be that. If it could be any other way, then it would be the other way.
Mm.
So there's just then this, what's happening, however that is.
I heard a speaker talking about everything is perfect, perfection upon perfection. And if it wasn't perfect, it wouldn't be happening. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk like that now. So I don't know. I hear the word perfect, maybe holy as it appears to be. So you could
Whole
look
and complete.
whole,
and complete.
whole and complete without an idea of it being this perfect thing called complete. So a leaf that has been ripped apart and withered on the ground could be described as whole and complete, and then or just what it appears to be, and full of rage would be full of apparent rage would be what's happening, and whole and complete. So that's the sort of it's like the most the worst imaginable scenario is to say it's perfect. Sounds awful, but it's neither perfect or imperfect. It's what it appears to be, and it's whole and complete as that.
And nothing could be any other way.
Well, it's just how it appears to be then, including the desire for it to want to be another way. That would be then what's appearing to happen. So it includes everything, every but, every if, every should, every whatever. Every question being asked, every question not being asked, everything, every thought, every breath. All free fall.
Yeah, right down to the slightest movement.
Yeah, right down to saying, right down to the slightest movement. and saying, yeah,
which actually leaves no room for me at all.
yeah. Sorry about that.
No me, no control.
No. Already.
Hi, Frank.
Yeah.
Would you say the need to know what this is ends? Because I still find myself pondering over sort of existential stuff. Like when I overhear people talking about their day and she said, he said, and I'm like, I'm wondering about how we can even talk, what this is, why no one is astounded by this happening. Do you still think about stuff like that, or is that just seeking of another image of something that's not
No,
this?
it's just what's appearing to happen. So I don't know how to think, but thinking appears to happen. So it's everything, including the thoughts.
So just thoughts, wondering what this is then, and no.
Yeah. Yeah. Thoughts don't find any sort of peace. Thoughts are thoughts. It's not like then thinking goes, well, this is just the most beautiful thing ever. And that's, you know, the story. It's just thoughts then, wondering about whatever, the craziness and all that. This includes everything. There was never anyone in there doing anything.
So there's no one wondering about how this all happens, and no one who ever finds out. It's just what it is, just wondering.
Just
I think I'm
wondering.
repeating myself, aren't I?
No, but it's exactly that though. It's just wondering about that's thoughts appearing then about whatever, and conversations about whatever. It is that. So it's everything.
Yeah. I'm still looking for something outside of this, I think. Which, yeah.
Yeah. Still appearing to look for something outside of this.
Yeah.
Outside. Whereabouts? Whereabouts? Outside?
I don't know. There's ideas about maybe this would end and then waking up into another dream.
Yeah.
Just nonsense. Just endless nonsense and ideas.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. No. Endless imaginations about all this. Yeah. Yeah. That's then what's appearing to happen. It's not like then suddenly, oh, and everything is incomparable. So if I was to start describing what was happening, it's not like then we'd meet in the middle and go, oh, well, that's exactly the same. It's every sort of tiny little inch is incomparable. And so it seems like the leaves are similar, but in actual fact, they're not similar. So what we're sort of like, the brain's like a pattern making machine. Do you get this? Because I don't, or I do, or whatever. It's just blah, blah, blah. That's all it is. So what, like? This constant blah 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 here. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. I'd say it's 50 million times more. Is that good? Is that good? Or is it just what it appears to be? Neither good nor bad. Fully what it is. So there's no safe zone or no comfort place where it's we all then apparently meet and agree. It is disagreeing. It is everything. So if fucking thinking about anything and everything and existential blah blah blah, that's what's happening. And it's the same as I'm going to go for a pint, or I'm going to going to give that other show on Netflix another go, or whatever. So it's so ordinary. It's just there's no one doing anything anywhere. It's not like there's some individuals out there orchestrating everything. No one in the entire universe.
So life in freefall is terrifying to the me.
Well, if that is what's being felt and described, then that is what's being felt and described, and it's sort of just imaginations then, more sort of imaginations about control or whatever. There's never anyone like. So it's just fear arising then. She don't know how to do fear or not fear. It's just fear arising. Did I answer that, Emily? Whatever we were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there was no one, but it can be that some apparent people act if they are important.
Yeah. That would be what's happening then.
Yeah, then that's what's apparently happening.
Yeah.
It occurs that it's sort of funny that like no one is the authority.
Hmm.
And it just seems funny that it can be no one is the authority or
Yeah.
no one is the authority. It's just funny, you know, like no one becoming the authority and yet another place to get to or something to be, or literally, no one is the authority. That's
Yeah,
cool.
there is no one.
Yeah. Mm.
So it's, you could say apparent authority can appear, but it's apparent authority, it's a story. But almost I think it seems like in a lot of places we're so used to it that there's safety and comfort in that.
Mhm.
That's why it seems to do so well, you could say, authority.
Hi, Frank.
Oh yeah.
It's like a costume of authority or a costume of powerlessness. It's all just costumes, dressing up in,
It's play pretend almost, yeah.
yes, play pretend. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Vatican, or have a look at the king being crowned, an apparent king. It's theatre. It's epic theatre. Roles appearing to be played. The king. It's very funny. I mean, even when it's, you could say there isn't much authority in the king thing. It's not like, you know, say hundreds of years ago, apparently they would have ruled with an iron fist, and there was, whereas it's sort of exposed the ludicrousness of the whole thing, the costume, the jewels, the everything. It's theatre. But you can, I love that Shakespeare line, "All the world's a stage." It's sort of like that. But it's like that in everything. It's teachers and the idea of being a parent, but you know, roles appear to be played. That's how it is.
Yes. And even now, so-called people wondering, asking question, and so-called someone else answering, and it's just what shows up. It's that there's no validity. It's just the listening and the talking and sharing and eating some food or biting nails. It's just so not fluent. There's a fluency, you know, it's, I don't know, it's just words.
Yeah. It's also just appearing to happen then. And then it's sort of, these sort of gatherings kind of expose that it's like that with everything. It's just what's appearing to happen. So of course you can tell a story about arranging a meeting and sending an invite out and clicking on a computer and appearing to attend, and and then you can go further back into stories of seeking and the blah 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 blah. It's a different version every time, but it's all just boundless, endless stories. And all the while there's just this then appearing to happen, then appearing to talk, questions appearing to be asked, and responses sort of being given. And it's not, and that description doesn't hold this as that either. It's just words then. So it doesn't matter. just a message in. There is what apparently happens, but nothing is ever happening. Can you say a few words about this? Well, this is nothing appearing to happen. So without the story of what this is, what it could be, without the word story, without any description, there's just nothing isn't a thing that happens. And it's not like it can then be described. This can't be, it's so intimately appearing as these words. What can be said? Well, whatever appears to be being said, but it is as words, as voice, as hearing, as thoughts, as feeling. It's like trying to kind of get this is like trying to catching, or breathe into breathing, or think into thinking, or feel into feeling. There's just immediately, inescapably what is. So without the story, this is nothing appearing to happen. But then say no words, doesn't matter. This is potato cakes. Oh, thank you very much. And